Drawing inspiration from the dawn of classic cartoons, you might take one look at Mouse PI for Hire and think it's all looks with no substance. Well, look again, because underneath the undeniably memorable art style is a surprisingly high-octane shooter, with a suite of fluid maneuvers and an arsenal of outrageous firearms. Instead of calling pest control, here's 15 essential things to know before buying Mouse PI for Hire. Distinct rubber hose animation is more than aesthetic here. First impressions aren't everything, but even cursory glances at Mouse PI for Hire are arguably more memorable than countless other shooters out there. Drawn by hand, Mouse PI for Hire adopts a 1930s rubber hose animation style, so called for the noodly limbs typifying its movement. But its contrasting black and whites aren't just for aesthetic value here. No, Rubber Hose's inherent charm introduces a disarming undertone which Studio Fumi Games capitalize on, bringing unsettling surrealness which you feel in the explosive actions of a gun-toting rodent. A film noir-inspired detective story. Characterized by moral ambiguity, corrupt underworlds, and moody undertones, Mouse PI for Hire's film noir inspiration runs deeper than its vintage palette. First and foremost, this is a detective story. As rodent PI Jack Pepper, you'll navigate the unscrupulous city of Mouseburg, where a simple missing persons case untangles a big web of lies, kidnapping, and murder. Jack's a grizzled former war hero with no qualms gunning down gangland leaders and police lieutenants alike. But, as is typical of noir anti-heroes, is his mission ill-fated? Well, explore the seedy streets and you'll see just how deep the Mouse's burrow goes. 20-plus action-packed levels across a city playground. Mouseburg's reported 20-plus levels are varied. Across your investigations, you'll be visiting film studios and opera buildings, plus poisonous swamps and underground sewers. Likewise, recently revealed footage shows a 3-stage boss fight against a robotic mouse who dwells inside of a secret laboratory. There's density here as well, much like a real mice who like to hide in the dark, secluded areas. You'll be wise to check out every single nook and cranny for any lurking danger. Mechanically similar to popular shooters. With its fast-paced run-and-gun action, Mouse PI for Hire looks poised to carve out a distinct place for itself in the FPS space. While its frenetic gunplay and fluid movement are immediate standouts, the game's hard-boiled narrative suggests it is aiming for more than just satisfying action. Rather than relying solely on momentum and combat, Mouse appears to frame those mechanics as one part of a broader experience, with its storytelling playing a much more central role. A suite of movement abilities. And speaking of movement, Jack Pepper enters the fray with a spring in his step. Sliding, dashing, and double jumping are in his moveset, as is wall running and pipe crawling. Fumi Games are instilling a very on-the-move ethos, expanding on it with a broad suite of maneuvers typical of the boomer shooter subgenre, and yet you'll want to use all of Jack's mobility options. You see, he's not an armored Master Chief, he's just a regular mouse with a gun. Only a few hits, the devs insist, is all it takes to take him down. Missions offer multiple approaches. A key aspect of the game's design is its non-linear, sometimes maze-like level structure, encouraging players to explore environments thoroughly, rather than just simply moving from one encounter to the next. Whilst it's unclear at this stage how labyrinthian Mouseburg's levels actually are, what we do know is that you'll have some agency in how Jack completes his missions. Take an early Opera House infiltration as an example here. Jack can sneak in undetected, or he can sway the corruptible denizens of the city to aid him in his mission, greasing the palms of the Opera House staff for secret access, for instance. Weapons are cartoonish twists on period-correct firearms. In addition to his fists, Jack comes packing with up to 11 weapons in his arsenal. We'll get on to the more creative firearms next, because the mainstays deserve a moment in the spotlight too, not least for their humorous reload animations. The Meister is a one-handed revolver, the Boomstick a pump-action shotgun, and the James Gun the mobster classic Tommy with ammo that stops enemies in their tracks. The Kiss Kiss is a double-barreled shotgun that fires explosive shells, while each gun comes equipped with an alt fire mode, burst shot for the Meister, hold charge mechanism for the Boomstick, and so on and so forth. But a special highlight is indeed the firearms' cartoonish reloading. The James Gunn's drum, for instance, appears comically glued in place, with Jack yanking it loose with the suction of a sink plunger. Other weapons are more experimental. Alongside conventional weaponry, conventional used in the loosest way possible here, are some bizarro firearms straight out of the Looney Tunes playbook. A devarnishing chemical weapon rapid fires paint stripper that melts your enemy's skin and flesh. The loose cannon is indeed a cannon, presumably sheared loose from a pirate ship. Plus, there's a freeze ray, fire-damaging chainsaws, and a science-infused altitude adjuster, complete with a brain-in-a-jar co-pilot. Weapons can be upgraded. Injecting some sort of light RPG mechanics is Mouse PI for Hire's weapon upgrading system. Located in the game's hub area, in Tammy's workshop are workbenches where you can augment Jack's firearms with specific power-ups. Details on what these upgrades entail are relatively light at the moment, although additional firing modes alongside some experimental progressions have been hinted by the developers. Momentary power-ups add yet more zaniness to the combat. Eating spinach will temporarily boost Jack's punching power, much like Popeye. Drinking coffee activates finger guns that quicken fire rates, kinda like Cuphead. Cheese acts as a health boost, while chili peppers brings fire-damaging bonuses. It's great. Jack's mouse tail is a multi-purpose tool. Not quite a Swiss Army knife, but Jack's tail has numerous versatile uses for traversal and gameplay exploration. At times, it's a lockpick effective at breaking him into sealed-off areas. At others, it's a grappling hook which can navigate him to otherwise unreachable places. It's also, amusingly enough, capable of rapid rotation like the whir of a helicopter's blade, spinning to get Jack airborne for one of the game's most creative traversal options. Hazards dot the environment. A crucial element underpinning the game's always-be-moving action is the abundance of environmental hazards, which you can utilize against Jack's assailants, or your enemies of course will use them against you. Explosive barrels feature, alongside freezing areas, fire, and more flesh-dissolving turpentine. Surroundings are there to be crumbled too. With fistfuls of dynamite you can level walls and floors, gaining an edge by remodeling the environment through chaos. Original big band soundtrack underscores the vibe. What is 1930s noir fiction without a big band soundtrack? This period in history is known as the swing era for a reason, so it's fitting that Mouse PI for Hire comes loaded with a suitably original big band score. The jazz cements the aesthetic, of course, but you can level up the music by authentically degrading it. In the game's audio settings, there are filters which rewire the sound to replicate early wax cylinder recordings or even vintage shellac vinyl. Release date, length, and price. Mouse PI for Hire is set for release on April 16th, and it's coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam. The game has been priced at $29.99 USD and will be 12 to 20 hours long. Likewise, there are no pre-order bonuses or special editions currently available. Of course, should this change, we'll let you know. PC requirements. To meet the minimum system requirements to play Mouse PI for Hire, you'll need an Intel Core i5-9600 or Ryzen 3600 processor, GeForce 1050 Ti, Radeon RX 580, or Intel Xe graphics, and 16GB of RAM. Recommended specs, however, list the same CPU as the minimum, yet with higher caliber GPUs, GeForce 3060, Radeon 6600, or Intel Arc B570. 16GB of RAM is still recommended and is 8GB of VRAM. The file size is relatively paltry at 20GB. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.